Alrighty, hey guys. So, as a parent, as a dad, I have been obsessed with answering this question: what is the most important thing to do when you're raising kids? Like, what is the most important thing, like the ultimate goal for raising children? It's a complicated question, but I really try to break this down and make it simpler because it doesn't have to be complicated. And anyone you ask, about parenting, say, oh, it's hard, it's difficult, it's confusing, we have no idea what we're doing. And I, as a simple guy that I am, I really tried to break this down. And so I found a really important question that I ask myself, which is if I only had 2 hours a day to raise my kids, what would I do with those 2 hours? Like, what is the bare bones, what really, really matters when you're raising kids, right? And I asked it this way because in reality, I only have about 2 hours of like quality time a day because I've got work, I've got obligations, we've got cooking food, we've got eating food, we've got all these things. They've got their own interests. But there's only about 2 hours a day of like quality time that we can decide what we do with that time, right? And I have like full control and ownership over that time about what I do with them. So I asked that question and I was like, okay, so under that question is a more important question, which is what is the ultimate goal for raising kids? Like what is a well-adjusted kid? What does it mean to have success in raising a child? And depending on who you ask, everyone throws out different answers, right? Oh, it's for them to be happy. Some people will say, oh, it's for them to have success. Oh, it's for them to be financially free. Oh, it's for them to have, a life of faith. Oh, it's for them to have, to be a good partner, a good, spouse in the future, and a good parent themselves, right? Okay, now all of that sounds great, but at the same time, it's not simple enough. It didn't satisfy my itch to really answer this question. So I made it really more bare bones, like not thinking about the future, like their future, like 20, 30 years down from now. What does it really mean to be a successful kid right now, like today? And this, what I really concluded for me after really peeling it back is this simple thing. The goal of parenting is to raise children that choose to grow no matter what. Children that choose to grow no matter what, which means whatever experience they have in their life, which I have no control over at all, I have little control, not full control, whatever experience they choose the path of growth. Meaning, when they go to school, when they experience difficulties in their life, when they bump their knee, when they experience conflict in relationships, when they experience addiction, when they experience um, setbacks, financial setbacks, emotional setbacks, turmoil, heartbreak, all kinds of stuff that happens in life well into their future, if they can come out of that and say, I want to grow from this. I want to learn what I can do to be better, to develop, and stop blaming and point the fingers at myself and say, what can I do in this situation to grow? Because if someone is like that, it doesn't matter who their parents are. It doesn't matter what environment they're in. It doesn't matter how much money they make. It definitely doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what school they go to. It doesn't matter if their father or mother was an abusive alcoholic or an addict of any kind. It doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, they will say, how can I grow from this? So, if you're with me on this, and this train of thought, which I peeled it back and I was like, wow, that's actually really what I want for my kids. Even though I'm not perfect as a dad, I know that. And I want them to not point fingers at me and blame me for being a bad dad or whatever. I don't think I am, but I want them to say, hey, my environment isn't perfect, my parents aren't perfect, but at the end of the day, it's up for me to decide how to respond to this and how to grow from this. So the next natural question becomes, right, if you're smart, which you are, how do I as a parent help foster this desire in my kids to grow? Like, how do I help them to develop this desire to grow? And I looked at myself, right? Because I have this in myself, actually. My wife and I have been through a lot of ups and downs. We've been through a lot of difficulties, a lot of arguments, a lot of fighting. Anyways, all kinds of stuff that I might talk about someday. And at the end of the day, I never thought to blame. And I never thought to divorce, even. Because both my wife and I are committed to this idea of growth, no matter what. No matter what. And I know that sounds a little naive to some people because they say, oh, what about this? What about that? What if this happens? My thought is, no matter what, I'm going to grow. At the end of the day, I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm going to take full responsibility and ownership. And my wife and I are both like that. So I asked myself, like, why am I like this? And how can I replicate that in my own kids? And the conclusion I came to is my parents did two things, which I'm doing with my own kids. Number one is they modeled for me. They showed me the desire to choose growth, the desire to grow and develop no matter what, in their own relationship, in their own life, in their own business that they started, in their own ups and downs. They always chose to not blame, but to take ownership and to grow from it. And to always think, huh, what can I do better? How can I develop? How can I have a different mentality, a different perspective? Because it's when people decide to not change, that's when disaster happens. That's when people get stuck. When people don't change their beliefs or their belief system or their perspective on stuff, then their behaviors don't change, because your behaviors inform your beliefs, and your beliefs inform your behaviors. So my parents were never stuck in their lives, and they continue to grow because they have this idea like, we want to grow. And that's what the purpose of this whole life thing is, growth and development. So that's number one. The other second thing my parents did, besides showing an example, is they talked a lot about growth, right? They always had conversations. When I was upset, when I came home from school crying because a kid in school stole my Pokemon cards, that actually happened. Instead of like blaming and saying, oh, that kid is the worst, or that kid's parents are the worst, or the school is the worst, they always said, hey, what could you do different? Like, what do you want to do about this? What do you want to do better? What can you learn from this experience, and how can you grow? And helped me confront the difficulty in my own way instead of trying to fix it for me, and just having conversation. So to wrap up this thought process I'm having, the goal is to help develop kids that want to choose to grow no matter what. And the way to get there is to do two things. It's to show them how to do it through example, and to talk about it every day. Talk about stuff. So if I had only 2 hours to spend with my kids, and that's all I ever had, I would spend it talking about stuff like growth. How do you talk about growth, and how do you foster those conversations? I would say that what we're doing right now is really trying to foster their interests. So my son is really into making stop motion animations, right? Like stop motion videos, and he's starting his own YouTube channel where he wants to share his passion for making videos and putting them online. And so 2 hours could be spent, like 1 hour of me kind of working with him and helping him, showing him how to do certain things with the YouTube channel, and how to optimize it to get more views, how to monetize it so he can actually make money from it, and having those conversations. And along the way, he's going to have setbacks. He's going to have disappointments. He's going to have roadblocks. He's going to have people not viewing his channel. He's going to have people, unsubscribing or stuff like that, right? And that's an opportunity to have conversation about growth. It's like, okay, what do you want to do? Are you going to blame YouTube and the algorithm for your success, your non-success? Are you going to blame your situation for not making enough money? Or are you going to do something about it? And that's an opportunity for conversation. So that's really what I think, like if I'm reflecting on it now, that's what it comes down to me, is helping them foster their own creative genius. Like, what is it that they want to invest their time and focus in? And just like supporting them wholeheartedly for 2 hours a day or an hour a day. And then the conversation around that is like, okay, what happened? Like any setbacks, any difficulties, any victories, any happy moments you had, and really peeling that back. Anyways, I am sharing this, guys, because I'm a parent and I'm figuring out this parenting thing as you are. But I really only share things that I feel like I've cracked the code on something, and I feel like we're kind of coming onto something that's really important. And I'm trying to make parenting really, really simple for me, and also for other parents around the world. So if this video is helpful, let me know in the comments, because it's helpful to know what kind of stuff you guys like. Also, like the video. No one will know that you liked it. And yeah, check out other videos on this channel if you want. All right, love you guys. See you later.